and welcome to Rob Has a Podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here tonight to recap tonight's Sunday night episode of Big Brother 24. And with us to do it, we have some very special guests, a trio on the podcast. Aysha, how you doing, Aysha?
I'm doing well. I have my household here with me. I wanted to show Pepper, who is always in the picture. She's 2. And this is her little sister, Cinnamon. She's 2 months old and she's 2 pounds. So this is my family, you guys.
And they would never do anything to upset you as the head of the household, even though there's only 3 of you.
Never. They are very considerate.
They'd
loyal.
even vote each other out.
Yeah, they would before me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Also with us tonight to talk about tonight's episode of Big Brother 24 here at the Final Four, 1 week away from finale night, which is going to be probably ending at the same time, even though it's 2 hours, because hopefully it won't be delayed. But with us to talk about it is Scally. How you doing, Scally?
Hello. I'm good. I don't have my dog here with me. Instead, someone just snatched my headphones out of my ear on the way to the podcast, but got them back. We're doing good. So very happy to be here.
Would you guys like it if I started the podcast instead of how I just did it with this?
Welcome, fellow mathletes.
You know, I would take it.
It's like Jasmine's distant uncle.
Right? Welcome, one and all fellow mathletes, to the podcast. As we're going to talk through this episode, it was a fun episode, I felt.
We got through a lot.
We spent 30 minutes on Britney versus Turner and who's telling the truth. And then that was pretty much it. Yeah, we had a veto comp.
And we still didn't get down to the bottom of it for Taylor's perspective, but you know, it's fine. Initially had worried that we wouldn't even have the veto this episode until we had found out that we were going to. So pleasantly surprised there. But yeah, not the most eventful episode in the world.
Yeah,
I think what I learned was like, I didn't know Taylor was as torn about knowing who actually did it.
That's what I was going to say. The most surprising part of this episode to me was Taylor in the diary room being like, I don't know who to believe. Excuse me?
What?
I don't know who to believe myself because I don't know if I believe Taylor not believing. Mm-hmm. I believe Taylor might be in the diary room right now playing up I don't know who to believe, because that was her whole reason for putting the 2 of them on the block. And we know that Taylor loves a good storyline. It's certainly possible that she doesn't know who to believe. The main point of it here is that she doesn't care who she believes. But I will say I was surprised to hear her say it in the episode.
Yeah, I would hope she's just playing it up for the DR. Like, yeah, weighing my options. Because then if it's like, oh, duh, Britney's lying, then it's like there's no content. So I really hope so, but she did genuinely seem torn, which I was like, well, I mean, I guess all of Britney's talking is really working on her, because I was personally thinking, Britney, why are you sticking to this? Just own it. Like, at this point, there's 4 people, but it's working out for her.
Yeah, I feel like the diary room will just be like, so Taylor, if you didn't know what to believe, then what would you say? Like, let's just get all sides of this, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good point from Aysha in that, like, again, they spent 30 minutes on this subplot. And if in the first 5 minutes, Taylor said, well, yeah, it's pretty obvious that Turner's not lying and that Britney is, I'm not sure they can get another 25 out of it. Definitely another 5 with the Turner and Britney confrontation. But beyond that, like, I think there's definitely a big chance that some of this was played up a little bit in the diary room. But that really is like what we get here in the first portion of the episode. Turner is annoyed about the flip vote. Britney is going to say to Taylor, it wasn't me. Taylor says, I don't know who to believe. And it's this whole back and forth.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, okay, they hadn't gone this route. What else could they show? I mean, 20 minutes of Taylor and Monty, but I don't know how
We
much
got
of that
20
can
minutes of
be-
Taylor and Monty.
Yeah, that was the other half of the episode.
Yeah.
Right. 40 minutes, like, right, like it's just gonna be some yeah, I don't think they could show most of what Taylor and Monty have said this week on primetime television.
It's funny that you bring this up, because that was actually the other way that I was going to start this podcast was
Yeah, that went on a long time, huh?
Oh,
that was a long
that
segment.
wasn't the end of it. I cut it short.
It's a long segment, huh?
I think there was another full half of that, actually, because that was all before they said a word, really, to each other.
We have time to fill. Like, let's get that royalty-free music out there. It's fine.
And look, maybe this is just an intentional contrast, to previous showmances this season. So
yeah, to Kyle and Alyssa, they wouldn't have been able to have the song that long.
So we do get again, like, Britney's gonna talk to Taylor about nominations. Monty's gonna talk to Taylor about nominations. They conveniently left out that the nominations don't matter at all until after they did the nominations, and then Taylor was like, so the nominations don't actually matter. But the real meat of this here is that Turner is gonna have a confrontation, so to speak, with Britney, where he's just like, hey, so are we gonna, chat? Like, I just feel like you kind of voted a certain way, and I voted another way. Thoughts?
See, I love this because I feel like usually Britney leaves a good 80% of her conversations crying. So the fact that she came here and Turner's the one leaving crying and she barely had to say a word was kind of fun for me. I wasn't hating it. Like, just the thank you for your comments and walk out. Like, didn't need to say any more. And she knew that there was nothing to be gained there.
Obviously, I've seen this before, right? I watched it on the feeds. I relate it to you in the live feed update. This is one of the moments, doesn't happen that often. This is one of the moments where watching it on the show was even better because they left in all the pauses. Those were real pauses. Oftentimes, the episode will edit in fake pauses to make things more awkward than they actually were. In this instance, they kept the pauses. They actually, if anything, made it slightly less awkward than it actually was. But what I loved about this is that there was an angle here of Britney's face that I did not fully I was not fully able to grasp when watching the feeds. Britney's face in this interaction is so stone cold. It is so good. I loved it so much. As he's just like, I just feel like you're really slimy. I feel like you did this despicable thing. I don't think I have a lot of respect from it. And she's just like,
Props to her, because I would not have been able to not bust out laughing, or just pure lack of anything to say. The fact that she was able to just act as if he wasn't speaking words her direction. It's just that's impressive.
Yeah, like the look of a woman who's about to go to a job that she hates every day. Like, she was just completely cold in the mirror, just had no expressions, and just I'm gonna have to do this for the next week, and it's not gonna be fun, but I'm not giving anything here because I can only lose. There was nothing to be gained.
This was big, what do you call the people that go to cops and they just plead the fifth or whatever? They're just what are the charges, officer? They just don't say anything. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say anything to you. I have rights. Big that energy from Britney with Turner. She's like, I'm not going to incriminate myself. You can talk at me all you want, but I'm just going to sit here in silence and not give you any ammunition.
That's the best part though, because she's already had the conversation with him that's incriminating, saying, "Oh, I'm voting, I'm voting to keep Taylor. Why not do a sympathy vote?" And the fact that she thinks, "Oh, Turner's not going to think about that." When he's thinking about, oh, how can he blame the vote on me? She's thinking, from this point on, I'm not going to say anything. Because even if she does say anything, all she'll do is continue to lie. But she's just like, no, not now.
Yeah. She's walking a line where it's like she could burn him even further. Like, not that she's gonna get his jury vote, but just like just pissing him off for no reason. And then also just like if she were to just admit it, like it was bad enough when Turner goes up and like repeats this conversation and gives so many details that it comes off extremely believable. If she were to just have like a very frank conversation of why she did it, like he would have all those details to be reporting back to, and it would be very believable. So like the fact that he doesn't really have a whole lot to give, though, like it's a very accurate story, it definitely much better for her.
Yeah, I mean, her only other option here, because I agree, I think that like playing into it and being like, yeah, I did do it. So what, Turner? What are you going to do? They're never going to believe you. Like, that's not that he's going to be able to relay that. And that's like a weird thing to make up. Which, by the way, if you're going to make it up, go big. The only other way through this, right, is if she fully plays into the other direction. And she's just like, Turner, what are you talking about? Are you seriously? Well, we are alone right now. Are you trying to pin this on me while we're alone? What is wrong with you? Are you trying to gaslight me right now? You are ridiculous. And start just like breaking out into tears. Like, I can't believe you're doing this to me, Turner. And then she runs up and goes, can you believe what Turner is doing to me right now?
Yeah, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss is something that I can definitely see Britney living by. Like, I'm surprised we haven't got it in a DR yet.
The ultimate gaslight is to accuse the other person of gaslighting, while you gaslight them about gaslighting. It's too much gas.
Oh gosh, Turner was even just nervous to even talk about this because he was just like, okay, personally, you're fine, okay, but okay, game wise, like instead of someone who's like super direct and is just like, Britney, why did you do this? Like, I know you're gonna turn it on me, but you have Turner who's just like smiling through this, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna talk through this. Okay, good gameplay. He's like talking through every single thought as it enters his head because he's just like, okay, I'm doing this right now. This is a little awkward. I'm not gonna admit, but But then you have Britney. So that was just the whole scene was just gold.
And I gotta say, I feel like Britney had some points in the diary room. Turner is one to talk. His track record is not great when it comes to his friendships in the game. To talk about being slimy and not being respectable. Look, everyone has their own moral compass, Turner, but if you turn that compass to yourself, I don't think it's pointing in the right direction. So I don't know if I don't know if this is the right way to go.
Yeah, he could take issue with the method as if someone would not just like float the same exact method by him. And he would say, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll do that. Like he would go ahead and be totally on board for a plan just like this. So, yeah.
So he's going to go upstairs and tell Monty and Taylor what happened and gets emotional about it. And it's like, again, like, look, I get it. I can empathize with his emotion here. It was a difficult thing to do. He thinks that he was doing the right thing for his game to vote Alyssa out. I disagree. But I'm sure that was difficult for him. And I'm sure that this is an emotional moment. But at the same time, like, where are the tears for Alyssa? Like, why? Like, it was difficult for you. Imagine how difficult it was for her, considering that you continued to lie to her up until the moment it happened. Like, that's where I'm like, okay, I feel like you're feeling for yourself a lot here, and you're feeling for yourself because you hurt other people, and I feel like that's not the right way to feel for yourself in that situation.
Yeah, it's a little bit twisted because even his logic with explaining it to them, she was trying to use my friendship, to get out her friendship. It was just like too much. I'm like, wait, Turner, sweetie, why are you mad? And you're right, Taran. It's all because of just him. Because there was literally no reason to lie to Alyssa to the very end.
It's just very much just like stabbing somebody and being like, you don't know how hard this is for me right now, okay? It's just, this is a very difficult emotional thing to do right now, and I could really appreciate some support from everyone else that is watching this. It's like, how about that's fine.
Yeah. You tried to use my friendship as if that's not like 45% of Big Brother at least. Like at least like it is a lot of the game of Big Brother is using people's friendships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to the nomination ceremony, and I will say one thing that they kind of slid in here during all of the Britney and Turner stuff is Taylor talking about wanting to be the first Black woman to win the game. She's already, in an elite group of Black women to have made the final 3 in the first place. She's hoping to make it to the final 2. She's hoping to win the game. Her ideal path to get there is to be sitting next to Britney, but we'll see if she's able to accomplish that. But definitely queuing up this this goal for Taylor, which I think is important because it is a huge motivating factor for her. I think it was a huge motivating factor for her to come on the show in the first place. So the fact that she is here and close to her goal is I honestly wasn't really expecting this to be a part of the episode, but I'm glad it was because it is definitely a huge part of her story at this point.
Yeah, and I did notice that on the edited version, she did include Monica, but I'm not sure that she did on the feed.
That was dubbed in. Yeah.
It's like, wait a second. It's like, okay, because I was thinking that, but then when I saw it on the feeds, but I was like, Taylor's a new, she binged it. She may not have seen every single season, obviously, and that's okay. She fell in love with the game recently, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm so glad that they put that in there because that means that the show acknowledges that. And then the fact that she said the first Black woman of a regular season, beautiful acknowledgement to Tamar. Love it.
Yes. I'm just imagining the conversation in the diary room. They're just like, hey, can we just get you to say Monica?
Yeah.
Why? Who's that? No reason. Just can you just say it? So post nominations, we get another scene, and it's just another scene of Britney lying to Taylor about the vote. Is he really saying that I did it? Is he really doing that? I gotta say again, though, I appreciate Britney in the diary room being like, so I suspected that he might say this because, well, it is the truth. So I just appreciate, she's such a disaster here, but I appreciate that she's really just out here doing it. You know what I mean? She's just like, what are you doing? I don't know, but whatever it is, I'm enjoying watching it.
Ooh, guys, it's not looking good.
Yeah, the story of Britney's game. It's been rough for a while. I feel like when you make a move as complicated as this one, and think that, and the result is so predictable, you can really prepare what you're going to say in response. And so she knew how Turner was going to react. She knew that he would be telling the truth, and all she had to do was prepare that incredulous, how dare he? I can't even believe that anyone would believe that. No shot. And so I think it was easy to prepare her retort.
Yeah, and I prefer this so much more than if she were like, oh, I haven't lied to a single person. Just own it, which is what she's doing it, but it's pure chaos. So, that gives us some entertainment. I will say she's definitely more entertaining on the episodes than on the feeds. So I do enjoy these DRs.
And that's going to bring us to the next segment in the episode.
Welcome, fellow mathletes.
I literally just got done complimenting their voiceover work for the horror themed HOH. I thought it was excellent. I enjoyed it. Yeah, this one, I feel like it's actually decent. I think it's tolerable in.
Welcome, fellow mathletes.
Like, that's it. If that was it, if that was all of it, and then they transitioned to a regular voice, I would have been like, okay, I'm on board. That was silly and fun. But man, the entire rule set was explained in this voice, and oh man, was it not, it was.
Ooh, guys, it's not looking good.
No, it was not.
It was a little rough. I mean, we could have brought in like Kevin G for the mathletes comments, but otherwise, I feel like it was, you know, again, a time filler. Let's explain every single rule in detail. Have 3 people in the diary room re-explain the rules to us. To what is a pretty simple competition.
Right. They doubled down and had Britney on top of it with her voice fluctuations. Flashback to last Wednesday's recap. That was amazing with Mike and Rob. But yeah, the voice, yeah, like you said, it was great for something that was short, but the fact that we kept getting it, it was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. So this competition was wild to me because first of all, I thought it was pretty good for a Final Four competition. I thought it was pretty good. I think that the biggest issue I had with it was the running back and forth. You know, any physical component I'd like to cut down on as much as possible for a competition of this level of importance. But I feel like most people, they can run back and forth and be mostly fine. This is not like the slingshot Final Four veto in BB21 where they were running the length of like the backyard every time they went to run back and forth. So for the most part, I felt like it was fine. And I was thinking about this. This had to have been, in my opinion at least, as long as you've got your base level of like mechanical engineering degree level of math. This is the easiest Final Four veto I think we've seen in a very long time. Because it's just a straight days quiz, basically, with a little bit of math added onto it. And so I guess for a little bit of context, knowing your days is like the most basic baseline thing that any player of Big Brother should know absolutely 100% down. They should have everything memorized. They shouldn't have to do math to figure it out. They should be memorizing their days. You have 74, 75 days to figure this out, like to do these memorizations. It's very like, this is what you should be doing. You should be studying. Worst case scenario, you can do a little bit of math if you need to, but you should know your days. From there, you usually get tougher questions like how many times did this person play in the veto prior to this? And like that's when that base level of day knowledge needs to be so solid that you're able to then think, okay, let me play in this veto. That's what these kinds of competitions have been in the past. Even going back all the way to Big Brother, at least 16, they had those kinds of like more difficult questions. Even though it was relatively simple in terms of the physical component, it then got a little trickier when they started introducing the component of pressing a button a certain amount of times to add up, and the slowest person to get there would be like down a point or eliminated or whatever. And there was usually a physical component to that as well, where you had to like run around a track or like hit a certain like thing over here and then over here. So like, you know, physical people were able to win that often. And then it became like this weird skill competition where they had the Frankie Grande bring up the ball kind of thing, or the seesaw back and forth that we saw last year, or like a hamster wheel that we saw in season 22. These have been difficult competitions. And I talked about this on the live feed update that in the last 4 years, ever since they changed part 3 of the Final 3 HOH to straight trivia instead of the more crapshooty what did the juror say, the Final 4 veto winner has always gone on to win part 3 of the Final 3 HOH. And that's because, in my opinion, they were physical enough and knew their days well enough to win part of the Final 4 veto, which means they're going to get to part 3 and they're probably going to win part 3 because it's a very similar style of competition. So I liked this competition because there was very little physical component to it, and it was pretty simple. Anybody should be able to ace this. And then it's just a matter of who does their math fastest, which is kind of cool, right? The issue is these players completely failed their assignment. Like, they have been studying. Britney has been studying. Monty has been studying. Taylor has been studying. Clearly, Turner has not really been studying. This had to be one of the worst Final Four veto performances we have seen in a very long time from the collective group of house guests that we watched here, Aysha.
Yeah, because I was thinking if Michael had been in this competition, the way he would have wiped the floor, they probably still would have been putting things down to put the number. Like I now see how he was able to win 9 competitions, not to take away from his ability, but this is what we're working with because, oh my gosh, it was astounding that knowing Monty had the POV, the fact that he changed it back to an incorrect answer, I was like, oh, we're in for the long haul because that's the winner who just put an incorrect answer.
Monty has been bragging on the feeds about how he's so good at math, and the fact that he won that competition proves how good he is at math. And we know that he got one wrong, but the fact that he got the addition wrong. And that's what caused him to then change one of his correct answers to an incorrect answer and take much longer is wild, because he's the only person I remember seeing getting the math wrong. Everybody else always had incorrect days. He's the only person that I saw actually get the math straight wrong.
Yeah, I was watching this week like, oh, Monty like knows his days. Like, I didn't know this. And then we watched this episode. I'm like, or like everyone else doesn't know them also. So I guess that's more of where we're leaning here.
Yeah. Oh, one element they could have made it way more challenging is take away the chalkboard. I understand it was a nice aesthetic. Yeah. It was great to have, but I would hope that anybody that is in the Big Brother house, they can put 2 numbers on top of another 2 numbers and add them up, right?
You'd think.
I could think of 10 house guests at least right now from this season alone. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think this was very illuminating in a few ways, right? First is that this was basically Britney's comp to lose in the same way that the Final 5 HOH was Alyssa's comp to lose. This should have been Britney's competition. She studied more than anybody else left in the house. And she clearly was going to win. The problem is that she had one day that was incorrect. And she has been studying wrong for a while with this day. And this just made me think, because she often studied with Michael. So I'm just going to throw out a little bit of a conspiracy theory, right? If you've ever played the game Jade Empire from the developer BioWare, there's a fun little plot element in that game where somebody essentially intentionally teaches a weakness in one of their allies, so to speak. What if Michael intentionally taught Britney one wrong day so that he knew that she could never beat him in a day's competition at the end and cut him? Was this a weakness that was implanted into Britney from early on?
I will be listening to Michael's deep dive very intensely to find that out.
We'll have to wait and see.
I feel like maybe he threw a couple of days in there. One seems like really got to hope that one day comes up, and if it doesn't, we're done for. But maybe there's like 6 or 7 and only one of them hit.
Because it has to be something that happens that wasn't an HOH or a veto, because he's like, oh, she could easily figure that out. But it's just like, when random things happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strategy.
Yeah. To be clear, I don't think Michael really did that. So Britney gets this one day wrong, and just like that, she's going to not be able to win this veto competition. Now, when it comes to Taylor, she got her own HOH wrong right out of the gate. She ends up getting 2 wrong, 2 incorrect days for her first buzz-in, but I think she was going a lot slower than Monty was, because she ends up having her first buzz-in in the second portion of the veto, which was a lot longer than most of the people in the game, except for perhaps Turner. Now, Monty also got 2 incorrect answers when he first buzzed in, and then, as we saw, messed around a bunch with trying to change up his answers. So when it comes to Taylor versus Monty in a day's competition, they do seem relatively on par. I think Monty hustled her in terms of just like going faster and doing perhaps the math faster, whatever the case may be. We saw Taylor attempt far fewer buzz-ins. Maybe that was just editing, but in general, she seemed mostly on par with Monty, it seemed. Turner, on the other hand, was by far the most embarrassing performer here tonight, because this guy knows the show. He has had 70. He even put, I think at one point, one of his answers was 74, which was yesterday after the veto competition.
Ridiculous.
And he was doing the math manually in the moment to do like Turner is not going to win the final 3 HOH. Let me just say this right now. Turner is not going to win the final 3 HOH. If he is doing the math every time he gets one of those questions, he is not going to win that competition. And that's a difficult competition to perform poorly in. In the last 3 years, only 3 incorrect answers have ever been given. And all 3 incorrect answers were from separate people. Each score was 8-7, 8-7, 8-7, because they're such easy questions. And yet they're still more difficult than this competition's questions were. And you're kind of on a time schedule, and you don't have chalk in front of you to do math and put out like color-coded like letter initial nicknames for all the stuff. This was embarrassing. Turner, what are you doing? How have you not figured this out already?
Yeah, we've seen Turner luck into getting numerous answers right in booth competitions before this. So, I don't think that everybody's guy Turner really had the best track record on this type of competition before. I'm not super surprised. I think that probably will continue moving into the future, where he's not really given a multiple choice option.
You know what? I bet you Turner was like, let me just beat the system. All I have to remember, like he said, all I know are the HOHs and the vetoes. As long as I know those days, I can figure it out on the spot. And he probably thought he was so clever doing that and totally missed the fact that competitions are in the moment right there. Julie saying we need an answer, not like you don't have time to count on your fingers. But if that's all he studied up to this point, I don't know if now after this veto, he's like, wait, I need to redo this. Because a lot of what we've seen from Turner is a lot of blank stares. And I don't think he's studying beyond what he has been doing.
That's the thing, is that now that I've seen this competition and his method for figuring out the answers, I'm like, okay, so obviously after this comp, he started studying. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen him after this comp. He hasn't been studying.
No, I did not think that Turner would be changing his stripes. It was going to be more of the same. We were going ahead. He thinks it's fine. Oh, yay, we're getting to the final 3 and we're going to be happy and moving forward. It's not really, math's not mathing for Turner. It'll figure out. It'll happen when it happens.
Man, we'll see.
Oh.
So I just thought this was interesting. Of course, Taylor and Monty are now 2 people that we know for sure are going to be competing in the final 3 HOH. So the fact that we've seen them both, I think that they're probably, again, those questions are easy enough. They both got 2 wrong initially. I think they're both equally competitive in that part 3 of the final 3 HOH from what I saw in this competition. Turner, even though he was doing the math in the moment, still managed to get the most wrong in his first buzz-in. So I don't think he's going to do too well. I would still give Britney the best odds of winning part 3 of the final 3 HOH. The issue there is that she probably has the worst odds of getting to part 3 of the final 3 HOH, as parts 1 and 2 tend to be very physical. So just some interesting things to note from this particular competition. Just embarrassing all around in terms of performance here. Like, come on, guys, we gotta do better.
Yeah, the Monty has no foot to stand on to brag about this performance. This is one where you take the veto, you hold it, and you don't talk about this competition again, because that performance, like, he needs to sit in his thoughts to see what he just did.
Monty was so pumped up about this too. Like, he was feeling himself so hard after this competition. He was like, I gotta go work out. The bear's gotta come out. I gotta feel it. I gotta lift some heavy weights. It's like this is why he wanted Michael Conn.
Right. So he can flex his addition skills.
Oh boy. So yes, Monty is the Final Four veto winner, and this is not good for Britney, as she says to Taylor, like, I think I'm a goner. I think he's going to evict me. And Taylor says, don't worry, I'm going to work on this.
Don't forget the bear growl before the music started.
The bear growl starts the music, yes. I thought about including that, but
I would like to forget it.
It wouldn't last as long in future seasons to have this ready to go if I had the bear growl to start it.
Nope. Nope.
Ooh, guys, it's not looking good.
Ooh. It's a lot.
So, 20-minute deep dive on this segment, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, what a whirlwind of the fact that the first time we saw it on the episode was only Thursday, because it's 5 days old, and they are kissing like they have been together for 6 months in a passionate love affair. It's hot and heavy. It's a lot to watch.
How did this happen? I'm like, get out of his arms. Get out. I don't want
Aysha,
this.
I did notice he was double arming it here.
He did do both arms. I was like, come on, Monty. You know what you can do with one arm. But he needed the support. I guess he needed to just make sure he had her. You know, she's going to hold on and be up there doing everything. He had to extra security.
Yeah, I mean, she needed to make sure that he had no arms to defend himself against her campaign to convince him to get rid of Turner.
Yeah. The fact mid-kiss, Turner beats both of us. Wait, how did Game Talk incorporate itself? It's just like it's yeah.
The next step in a compliment sandwich.
It's just you're gonna. You know what I've been thinking about? I've been thinking about Turner. Yeah. You know, Turner? I just feel like, would you think you could beat both of us? You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
This music's playing and Taylor says, I'm thinking about Turner. I think there's a problem. Like, maybe we don't do that.
Oh.
I hope everyone noticed that this is a play on the Who Wants to See My HOH Room music. I'll play it for you one more time, just so you can notice that.
Oh yeah, now you really hear it.
This is what we were looking for House of the Dragon, when instead of just straight up copying the Game of Thrones theme, we were hoping for something a little more like just a slight play on it, right? Like
It's kind of how like Succession does throughout
Mm.
every episode. They change the same melody, but it's in different forms.
Exactly. Look, we've got master composers here and the Big Brother crew. So
Oh. I don't know. It's something about these Monty Taylor scenes that you really have a hard time watching them twice. You see them happen the first time, and then to rewatch, I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, or a hard time watching them once. It depends. Your mileage may vary.
Oh gosh.
oh,
It's full of passion for sure. Like, I mean, I know it's mostly lust for these two, but the passion behind like the fact it's been 70 something days. It's been since Mexico that they are I'm concerned. I don't know.
my favorite part was when she gets on the bed and he kneels in front of the bed and she goes, oh, I like this. Why don't we keep this for a little while? So that's how we end the episode. That's it. We're gonna get a couple of diary rooms. Monty tells us he's got to figure out what's best for his game moving forward. So we will have to wait until Thursday night to see what Monty decides to do with this veto.
Yeah, it's a long wait for such a decision that's so up in the air.
Yeah.
Do they still think that a veto ceremony is coming?
They thought it was coming today. I assume they will assume it's coming tomorrow as well, because that's the normal time that it would be. For some reason, every season people get this wrong. Even when people know the show, they're like, well, we gotta have a veto ceremony before the eviction. It's like final four veto ceremony is the eviction. But we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll see what they do. Anything else about the episode that we should talk about before we move on to some spoilers?
No. Well, Taylor did say a cute guy handed her the key. I think that's like that right there is kind of like what Monty always wants to hear from her. Like he's always kind of fishing for those compliments from her, and she's just like, she doesn't want to give them unless they're in the heat of the moment, is what I've observed. So there's that.
There's that. All right. Well, if you're gonna bounce out now, thank you for joining us. Of course, I'm gonna be back tomorrow morning for an update, and then of course on Tuesday for the roundtable. We've got a Survivor draft coming up tomorrow night as well. Survivor premiere on Wednesday. I'll be streaming on Twitch for that. So if you want to join me and watch live with us, that'll be a good time. And then Thursday is going to be the next episode, followed by a Friday episode, probably the recap of the recap. And then Sunday night will be 1 week from now will be our finale for Big Brother 24. But in the meantime, let's talk spoilers.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
a spoiler.
Warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
spoiler
against this country has been detected and that protective action should be taken.
Oh my goodness.
So that's basically what we've been watching on the feeds, is more of that. But here's some updates for you. We got no new comp winners because you now know that Monty won this competition. I can tell you that right after that conversation he had with Taylor, he went downstairs and he said, "Hey Turner, I'm definitely taking you to the final three. For sure. Don't even worry about it."
Yeah, bromance is still on. There might be like a little bit of a final three love triangle, but at least that half is still there for Monty as well.
He said, "I'm going to look you in your eyes and tell you that I am taking you." So
Okay, we're good. We're good. So yes, Monty intends to evict Britney. Britney has been coming up with a massive pitch to give him, but we do not expect that it will make any difference. And the real intrigue here is who is going to take who to the final two in Big Brother 24. Monty has promised Taylor he is taking her to the final two. He has told her this. He has not told Turner that he is taking him to the final two. He even told Taylor, I'm telling you I'm taking you. I have not told him that I am taking him. These things are true. Monty has not, though, confirmed this to us, to the cameras, or in the diary room yet. So we'll see about that. Taylor recently said to the cameras as well that she intends to win the final 3 HOH and take Monty. Although recently she also said to the cameras that she doesn't think she can beat Monty. The problem is, I think that she thinks she can even less beat Turner at this point. So we will see about that. But it does seem likely at this point that Taylor would take Monty. However, certainly could take Turner if her mind changes about who she can beat. Turner has not really given any indication of who he would take beyond him continuing to tell Monty that he will take him. This is the most difficult one to trust fully because obviously Monty holds Turner's life in his hands right now. Turner has zero incentive to say anything but, or to promise anybody but Monty that he would take him. Although I think we can feel safe in saying that he is more likely to take Monty than Taylor at this point. However, they did have a conversation today where Turner asked Monty about, and Monty admitted it to him. I don't have the exact quotes, but it was basically like, yeah, you know, I had needs. Will it last? Asks Turner. Probably not. And Monty was a little bit upset because she woke him up by yanking the headphones out of his off of his ears. And it was not a nice way to wake up. And he doesn't like that she conducts herself in such a manner. And so it's possible that basically she pisses him off enough that he doesn't want to take her. But still worth noting, even though he had this conversation with Turner, he still did not say to Turner, and so I'm taking you to the final two, or anything like that. So at this time, I think it still seems as though Taylor and Monty will be taking each other. And given Turner's competition performance here at the Final Four, I think it's unlikely that Turner will even be in a position to make that decision. So it's really just going to come down to who wins between Taylor and Monty, probably. Aysha, what are your thoughts?
I think Monty is petty enough to change his mind about taking Taylor because of this one fragile dig to his ego. He thinks there is a reason to be annoyed in the moment, to be woken up, but watching it happen, her taking the headphones off because he's snoring, so you're not even enjoying Renaissance. You're not even giving Beyonce the pleasure of listening to her beautiful vocals. You fell asleep to the point of snoring. You're in REM. Give me my headphones. In my bed. Go get in your bed. He's even moved his stuff out of the HOH room. Like, that's literally, that situation is the only negative thing that has happened in their relationship in the past 24 hours. And I can imagine that he's already painted this picture of just like, I don't like how she is in front of other people, and when she's in private is different. Like, he's already blown it up to that. I fully would anticipate him for it to roll over to like, I'm not even going to give you $50,000. Why would I do that when you don't respect me? So I just need Taylor to take herself. Even if Monty comes to that conclusion that he wants to take Turner because he would rather award him the $50,000 is how he's looking at it. Doesn't matter. I just want Taylor to win herself there, and then I'm stress free if I think about it that way.
Yeah. He basically said, reading between the lines, I think a little bit, and maybe even not having to go that far. Like he said the way that she acts around other people is different than the way that she acts around me, and he felt disrespected, that she was on like a power trip. Essentially, like she respects me in private, but in public, she's not giving me the respect that I want in front of other people, so to speak. And so, that is the thing. I think, this definitely reminded me of the kinds of conversations he would have with Terrence. And I do think that the interesting thing is that I think that he expected Turner to respond in the same way that Terrence would, like, yeah, she sucks. But I don't really think that Turner did respond in that way. And if Turner is going to change his mind about taking Monty to the final two, I do think that this could be the start of it. Not just the fact that Monty may now be with Taylor, and what does that say about who Monty might take? And I'm sure Turner might start to realize he hasn't actually told me he's going to take me to the final two. But also just like, for as much as we've talked about Turner being a bit of a follower here, he has talked about like not loving the way that people talk about like women in the past. Like I can't imagine that Turner is sitting through this conversation feeling like, yeah, she sucks. Go you. I can't imagine that he's loving it. But who knows?
I will never trust basically anyone on this cast to actually do what they've always said. What's in their best interest, what they've said, anything of the sort. So I think anything could change. I feel like we've reverted a bit on Monty and Taylor's dynamic back to a little bit where it was a couple weeks ago. I think that can change. Taylor's even said before this, like, don't be a Kyle. Like, don't be up here with me, showmancing me, and then lying to me and making me look stupid. That's not happening. And I think that will probably weigh on him. And that is like the most faith I have in him taking her to the final two still. Whereas Taylor has expressed like blatantly to us that, yeah, I like Monty, but I want to win, and I will take who I think is my better chance of winning. I also think that Turner has been very happy with the fact that things turned around on his HOH for the first time, and Taylor's treatment definitely started to change in his eyes starting that week. And I think that if he thinks that Monty is speaking of Taylor in not the best light in this week, he may ultimately start second guessing his relationship with Monty as well.
Yeah, and if he does, I could totally see him putting that information in his pocket. And let's say Monty and Taylor win part 1, part 2. Turner goes up to Taylor. I just want to tell you, I think you should know this, and I'm not using it against him, but I want you to know Monty said this.
Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? I did get a little bit of the sense that like Turner in this conversation, he's very easy to read. When he's with people he feels comfortable with and having conversations he feels comfortable with, he's like, so this is what happened. Oh my God, this happened. And when he's uncomfortable, so, can I ask you about like a certain situation? So like it's not that hard to get a sense of what Turner's feeling. And I don't think, obviously it's perfectly reasonable to assume that he was just uncomfortable in the conversation in general, because it was an uncomfortable conversation. But he did seem a little bit like thoughtful afterwards. So who knows exactly what impact this may have. Nor do I, again, think it really matters, because I don't think that Turner is going to win part 3 of the final 3 HOH. If he's like, hold on, there's no pen and paper. How am I supposed to do that? I just have a little like slidey wheel here. How am I supposed to take notes? Julie?
Yeah, Turner pulls out the tiebreaker blackboard for every single question. Yeah. I see it. I can see it happening already.
And Julie have to yell at him to stop.
Yeah. So that's really all that's going on. I mean, it's the final 4, and they're sitting around for a week at this point, just waiting for the chance to vote Britney out. So there's not a lot else happening here. Anything else that we should talk about or that you guys want to bring up?
When they broke out the tie-dye again today for sweatshirts, I said, oh, I'm going to bed early tonight. There's nothing else to see.
Yeah. It's pretty much, when they break out the tie-dye, that's when you know.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's a wrap.
It's all over. All right then. I think that's about what we've got. I think that we could maybe talk a little bit. I'm a little bit curious about the two of you, how you feel about the jury situation between Taylor and Monty. Do you have a prediction, Scally, between Taylor and Monty? Who do you think will win a jury vote?
Maybe this is me just not allowing my expectations to get too high, but I think it's Monty. I don't trust anyone on this cast. I just feel like as much as we get the like, wow, now all of a sudden I'm such a big fan of Taylor, as I'm leaving the house and getting questions that maybe make me think that my treatment of Taylor wasn't the best. I think that they probably woke up a little bit to the situation that was going on in the house, but I still think that some of them in particular will not love losing to Taylor and also not maybe give her the credit that is due. I think that they will be much more ready to give it to Monty, and I do think that Monty probably will take it home if that's the situation, especially if he brings her there.
Oh, I don't think that's the case. I see Taylor winning in this situation. I know, like, obviously Locked In would probably be like a Terrence and Kyle, but I would think that, you know, Indy, Jasmine, they're going to go with Joseph. I think Joseph, even with I feel like people were in the house were making more of a big deal of the Monty Joseph dynamic. I think if it's between Monty and Taylor, Joseph is siding with Taylor. But that could be an incorrect read. But I think if she has those three, she's going to have Britney. That's 4. And I couldn't see Michael voting for Monty over Taylor because of how Michael left. I think he's thinking, I'm not voting for Turner or Monty in any situation because of like the 1-2 punch of getting him out that way, because Michael sees it as I saved them by not putting them up and they went against that. So I think it would be close, but I think Taylor would take it.
All right. Well, 2 different answers. We will have to wait and see. But that is what we have for you tonight. Of course, again, I will be live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happened today on the Big Brother 24 live feeds, including this potential breakup of Monte. As we may not get it. That might have been the final segment of. Might be the last time we get it, and the last time they get it as well. So we'll see what happens there. Tomorrow night, the Survivor draft will be on, I believe, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, somewhere around there. So make sure you tune in for that. And then on Tuesday, the roundtable, final one before the finale, we will predict the jury votes. We will rate the players one last time and try to see if we can predict what is going to happen on finale night. Then on Wednesday, I'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, watching the premiere of Survivor and The Amazing Race with Claire and Derek X. Lots of fun stuff going on there. Make sure you tune in and watch along with me over on Twitch. And then on Thursday, another episode. So packed week of content here as we move forward through to the end of the season. Make sure you check out the Among Us videos I'm posting over on YouTube. House of the Dragon, I'll be watching it after this recap ends and then podcasting about it tomorrow. So make sure you tune into the book club podcast for House of the Dragon. Spoiler free in the first portion of that podcast. And then just find me over on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. You check out all the stuff I'm doing over there. I'll be tweeting it out. So, and also occasionally some thoughts or two. So find me over there. Aysha, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Aysha like Aysha. That's AYSHA like ASIA. I am podcasting about Married at First Sight with Jason Reed. We're halfway through the season. We've been having a great time. We have a Facebook page that we're up to 300 members right now. So we've been having a great time in there talking about the show. So definitely go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed to listen to the Perfect Match podcast of us talking about Married at First Sight. If you subscribe to that feed, you will also soon get a recap of Love is Blind After the Altar season 2. Mary and I got together to talk about the 3-episode drop that happened, the updates on all the couples. So we had a great time talking about that. So that should be in that feed soon. And then I'll also join Taran on the Survivor draft. So I'm very nervous, hoping I get the people that I want. We'll see. It'll be a very fun time.
Who's that
and then,
you wanted? This is a safe space. Don't worry about it.
Right. I will never tell. And then if you want to see more of the pups that you saw at the beginning of the podcast, you can follow me on TikTok, Malshi Poo Sisters, or follow me on Instagram, Aysha Like the Continent, posting plenty of dog content. They're my personal entertainment.
All right, there you go. Scally, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Brian_Scally. I was on the most recent Slop, I believe. So that was a ton of fun talking about lots of stuff, Big Brother and Big Brother Twitter. Also just podcasted, more ranted about the challenge finale over on the Dom and Colin podcast. So that was an episode of television. But again, anything I'm doing on Twitter at Brian_Scally.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see all of you next time.